Malicious compliance. I need you to break down these giant concrete blocks in the blazing hot weather. By Matt Rock J. Not his exact words, but that was essentially my job description for a week while working on a construction site. There were these two gigantic concrete blocks that were poured to hold up the site security cameras. And holy fuck, was that a bad idea! They could have put stakes in the ground, used sandbags, or just used a really wide frame, but no. Giant concrete blocks was the plan. And now that the job was nearly done, and I was on the bottom of the pyramid at this job, I was the one who needed to destroy them. Now, I did everything I could to make this easier, like try and find an effective method, break off big pieces at a time, or try to talk my boss into using expanding grout, the stuff that's meant for breaking concrete. He was having none of it, and just told me to pull my bootstraps and do it. Here's the thing, the three reasons in particular why I wanted to make it easier, each alone enough to justify a different method. One, it was going to be 30 plus degrees Celsius for the next week, 90 plus degrees Fahrenheit. That might not sound bad, but for a northerner who's used to cold weather, this was like working in the Sahara. Two, the blocks were reinforced with microfibers. This means they don't fall apart in chunks. Cracks may form, but the fibers will hold it together, meaning I'd need to chip it away only little bits at a time, meaning more effort and more time. 3, the chipper I had was tiny, like this thing was meant for tiles or bricks, not giant-ass blocks of concrete. This also meant it didn't have effective shock absorbers, so pretty much all the force would be going directly into my arms and practically my wrist. Particularly my wrist. My bad. I misread that word. Now, I am not a burly guy like a lot of other guys on this site. So while this would be bad for any of the other guys, it was doubly so for me. Now I'm pretty fed up with my bosses as it is. He's aggressive, lazy, and has little to no regard for my well-being. But unfortunately for him, neither did I. I'm better now, don't worry. And this gave me the push to teach him a little lesson. All I did was simply do the job as he asked. I used a tiny, crappy chipper to break down those giant blocks in the blazing heat. Thing is, I never actually finished. The first day I got through about half of the first block and came home with my hands and wrists numb. The second day I came in with my hands and wrists aching like crazy. I know how to survive and drink as much water as I could, but apparently it wasn't enough, because while working on the first block, I fainted. Luckily, someone noticed and called an ambulance. I was only out for maybe 10-20 seconds, but when I got up, one of the trade workers was already on the phone with 911. When they got there, I was treated with severe dehydration and severe tendinitis, as I couldn't move either of my wrists without great pain. I won't give the details of going to the ER, but there was another interesting detail. My boss wasn't on site that day, thinking he didn't need to do anything that day and just hung out at home. Thing is, though, because an ambulance was called, it was one of his primary duties to respond to it. But he wasn't there. This put him in some really hot water with his boss. I don't have all the details about what happened, but I was off the job site for 2 weeks while my wrist recovered, and when I returned, there was a new site manager who just wanted me to clean the site, not break the blocks, which were still there. I'm pretty sure that old site manager was fired, but I actually don't know since I finished working there 5 days later. TLDR, boss wanted the weakest link to do the hardest job and might have gotten himself fired when the weakest link failed. This is an hilarious story and wonderful malicious compliance. You did good, Mad Rock. You did good. Excellent job. Sorry, I deleted all the files you told me to delete. By Old Man 712. My job was to design and write software prototypes for individuals, high-value customers. If they liked it well enough, then a real software engineering team would build the real product. Occasionally, I would run the prototype a few months while the customer evaluated if they wanted to buy the real project. Now, these prototypes are not a lot of code, but they do run with a lot of data. Even compressed, it can be a terabyte or more. Having done this work for years, I've accumulated a small disk farm of past projects, which can be very useful when a customer asks for something just like we did last year, but with a small change or two. The company resisted buying hard drives for this, but it saves me so much time. I ended up buying one or two a year myself while I accumulated about 10 of them. Figured over $1,000 worth of external hard drives. Then unexpectedly, management changes. New management thinks they can replace old software guy with a cheaper new software grad, and I am laid off with 2 weeks to train my replacement. Yes, it's a blatant age discrimination, but impossible to fight, so I just went for a graceful transition to my next job. Except I have $1,000 of personal disk drives with old customer data on them. Company insists that no ex-employees may take any company data off premises, and all files must be deleted. I don't want to just leave the drives at the company, but they insist I must delete all data before taking them home. So I offer 1. They can buy them from me. 2. I will eventually use them for something else, but I can leave the data on them in case someone needs it. Not good enough. New manager insists I must delete all data and all backups before I remove the drives. Okay, that's what I do. 6 months later, I get a series of desperate phone calls. New software grad has been unable to build any new prototypes. Old customers are calling to get old prototypes updated, and new software grad has no idea how to do that. Executive VP is calling to ask what would it take to bring me back to do my old job. Sorry, I got a new job now, and even if I didn't, I cannot just modify the old prototype because you insisted I deleted all old copies of it. If I did want to modify it, I'd first have to recreate it from scratch. The code still exists in their source control, but the data in the heart of the prototypes and that old series of 6 months apart data we collected is gone for good, no matter what. Sorry you screwed yourself exactly like I told you would. Hope whatever you saved by hiring new grad to replace an actual experienced programmer was worth it. And this is a beautiful, beautiful miss malicious compliance. Figure out my word. Because, like, I used to work at an arcade, as many of you probably know, and legit, after I quit, I was still being called for really weird, stupid shit. Like, I got called at 3 a.m. being asked how to clean the pizza oven. And it was super annoying. Like, I hadn't worked there in forever. Granted, when I got the 3 a.m. call, I was still working there, and I had to wake up, not on clock, and make a short video tutorial with my drawing tablet with drawings on explaining how to clean the fucking pizza oven to this kid. Well, to the guy. He was not a kid. He definitely didn't like using his brain, though. But after I had quit, that video tutorial is still up somewhere on my YouTube. I believe it's a private or unlisted video, so if only those link can view it. One of my coworkers is like, hey, can you send us that video again? Great, this has been after I quit. And then it was like one random afternoon, like I hadn't worked there for at least 3 months to a year. I get a text from another old coworker, hey, how did you clean the pizza oven? Which is very concerning, like, did y'all not know how to clean the pizza oven? Because I could have sworn I had explained to everyone in that department how to clean the pizza oven. How do you not remember how to clean the pizza oven? Who was cleaning the pizza oven? Because, like, you have to take it apart, which means you need a lot of upper body strength, which I get why she wasn't able to do it. She doesn't have a very good back. Her back is screwed. But still, I don't trust the pizza at the arcade that I worked at. Because that pizza oven is covered in several, like, black char chunks that you have to fucking scrape and scrub off. Because I don't think it had been cleaned before the other dude had told me how to clean it because no one trained me how to clean it. Certainly not the management. Another dude figured out how to take the pizza oven apart who had got hired on after me and showed me how to do it and how to clean it. Because management sure as hell didn't. No one who was there when I started sure as hell didn't. And from what I'm hearing from the one friend I still have contact that still works there, she's leaving. It's gone downhill. It's gone completely and totally fucking downhill. She's done with it. She's leaving. She said, "Fuck this. I'm not dealing with it no more." And frankly, I do not blame her one bit. Not one little bit. But this is a great story. Everyone go give OP props. The True Cost of Silence by user Impressive Glove 639. Long-time lurker, first-time poster. So years ago, I was a peasant working for the king of beggars. I was the guy who everyone went to whenever there was a problem. Even the managers would come to me if they didn't know how to do something. This led to me chime in on things when I thought it was appropriate, fixing problems before they even became problems. Now, even though they would come to me as soon as there was a problem, more than half of the time, if I brought up a problem, I was told to shut up or mind my own business. This went on for a while before I came up with my malicious compliance. I simply stopped talking at all. If I really needed to say something, like if they came and asked for my help, I would write it down. This pissed off my manager to no end. For a week, she kept asking me to start talking again, and I simply write down, "You all told me to shut up," and would leave it at that. The day finally came to break the vow of silence when one of our delivery drivers crashed a handcart into a wall, smashing a good part of the wall. I tried to act it out to my manager, but she wasn't having it, kept telling me to just say it, so I finally told her. She immediately jumped down my throat. "You need to say something if you see something like this happen." To which I replied, "You're the one who wanted me to shut up." Never was told to shut up while I worked there. And that is beautiful, malicious compliance, impressive glove, like beautiful. Your manager kept telling you to shut up when you tried to bring up things happening, and they kept ignoring it. So that's their fault. So good on you, OP. Like, you chose to break it because the charades wasn't working with her, because she obviously wasn't that smart. Granted, I've also had, like, shit bosses and managers. I could go on and on with stories about that shit. But good on you, OP.